Hello, everybody. I know this for the past week and a half or so, you've been entertained by my singing. I promise you that I'm not going to start the show singing. You never know what's going to happen throughout, but I'm not going to start it with singing. Wanted to let you know this is brought to you by a spiritual how-to, available on all Amazons. It's the basis of one of my programs as well for building confidence. It's also the premise that the empowering extravaganza, the little you and higher self, is all about coming up in a week's time. Very excited about that. And if you're watching this now, feel free to share this. If you're watching this in the future, feel free to share this. And do know that the empowering extravaganza come out every February, and it has to do with that little you energy. And I've got the beautiful Keira with me again today. We've been having such remarkable conversations. Yes, exactly. Party in the house, party in the house. I wanted to get to just kind of hone in on the date, because I think it's really important to mention this, as many people have been mentioning this, that it's 2/2/22. And what a beautiful, powerful experience we're going to have today, because I really wanted to focus in on a couple different things here. And I think we've got the perfect guest to do this with. I have really been speaking a lot about balance this year, about bringing balance into all three aspects of ourself, which is the little you, the physical body, and the higher self. And I really have recognized, and I notice I'm using really a lot, so there's something really going on here. I've noticed that my own track record, I've had moments where I've really been, holy cow, how on earth can I change my life? Right. And I recognize those moments. Like, I can honestly, even as I say that sentence, I can feel myself as a teenager sitting at my desk in my childhood room and thinking, how can I make my life change? I dislike my life in this moment. And that's what I wanted to hone in on is it is the small, simple steps, the small, simple decisions that we make along the way that do change our lives. And uh, some of the things that you may be experiencing right now, and I'm sorry that I'm taking up all this time, because I want to speak with Keira and I want to give her some space to speak as well. And I just wanted to say hi to those that are following us, Karen, Robin, and Amy so far that have actually come on and said hi. Those of you who haven't said hi, we say hi to you as well. If you've been experiencing exhaustion or chaos happening in your life, sometimes it truly is just a small, simple step. It's take a breath, right? And I'm just going to kind of highlight some of these things real quick, and then we're going to go into conversation with Keira. So exhaustion, start to make a decision. Just make a decision that you want things to be different, even. Something as simple as that, making the decision that you want something to be different, positively different. And then start to recognize where your focus is and start to change your focus. So this is where that mindset stuff comes in. This is also where the what am I telling myself comes in, because when we make those changes, then we can start to, like, when we make the change, meaning we've made a decision to make a change, we've started to focus on what we are doing, we want to focus on what we want to be doing, and then we start to reclaim ourselves. And that reclaiming ourselves, you may not know who that self is at all. Like, I had no idea that this was who I am 5 years ago, 6 years ago. But I'm in awe of where I am now. And it started with a simple decision to make a change for the better. And I know I can watch Keira. She's sitting here. She's contemplating. She's focusing in on what I'm saying, because she's got some beautiful words of wisdom with the same topic as well. So I'm going to open the floor to this conversation. And I'd love for you guys to write in the comments, where would you like to start to focus your attention? Something very simple like that. Where would you like to focus your attention? So is that better home, better relationships, better career? What's two words maybe? Better life, whatever it is. Okay. Go ahead, Keira.
Hmm. So I'm gonna go all the way back to when you first started talking, and happy 2/2/22. There's another two in there too, because it's 2022, right? And so we have the and I came in as a 4. I don't know if you all are familiar with numerology, You're an 8. Oh, interesting. Yeah. And this is based on my birthday, my date of birth, right? And so if anyone out there has not done your numerology, it's really simple to find out what number you came in on by adding all the digits of your birth date, with July number 7 for me, February number 2, right? And so as a 4, I'm supposed to be really balanced. I'm going to go back, like I said, to what you started talking. Oh, beautiful. Better connection with yourself, Amy. I love that. Yeah. And I will say for me, myself, and I bet Sandra resonates with this as well. My self-awareness to me is really high on the value scale for me. That it's my passion in life to get to know myself so well that I can actually help other people get to know themselves. And so I love that Sandra said better relationships. The relationship with yourself is the primary relationship. And yes, unconditionally loving yourself is so, so important. And it has been a long journey for me. And Robin's also a number 4, like I am. So I went for a walk on the railroad tracks the day before yesterday. And we're still in the new moon energy, as well as this magical 222, 22, 222. Okay, I might be the one who's going to start singing.
I rub off.
And I found these 2 stones. I was actually on a phone conversation, but also I'm always in meditation. And this one to me looked like an arrowhead when it was laying on the ground. It doesn't look as much like an arrowhead, but it has the shape. It's definitely not an arrowhead. It's just a rock. Just a rock. But but this one popped up first and asked to come with me. I really do feel like they want to move around rocks when we pick them, when we're called to pick rocks up. And then really soon afterwards, I saw this one that's more of like a really straight diamond shape. And together, they create this balance. And the way that I feel them, this one that I'm raising up higher right now is very much divine feminine energy. And this one is divine masculine energy. And I do a lot of work with Taoism and Vedic philosophy, and bringing balance in is such an important part of learning to love yourself, getting to know yourself. How do I express my masculine energy through my feminine form? How can I get into a deeper connection with my femininity in a masculine driven world? These are the kinds of questions I ask myself, and I'm really passionate about bringing balance. Oh, where do you find beautiful rocks like that while walking? For me, on the railroad tracks, believe it or not. I think we have really beautiful rocks in the quarries in my area that they chop up and throw into the middle of the railroad tracks. And so I pick them up. I could maybe find them also at a river. And so there was one more that popped up that is this very lopsided heart rock. I always find heart rocks, and every time I find a heart rock, I'm like, oh, the earth loves me. I love you too, earth. And this is part of the self-love, is to be in love with life. And so this rock, to me, the fact that it is very not balanced in the sense of equal sided, but it has this really magical balance. And to really love yourself means loving all of you unconditionally, loving yourself, not in spite of your mistakes, not in spite of the hair not cooperating with you this morning, But because your flaws are a beautiful part of the opportunity to be in balance. And so that's what's coming through on this magical day of, it's funny when you put it without the extra 2, it actually becomes the 8 that Sandra mentioned. And I think 2 in and of itself, when we just look at the number 2 and think of how many times in life have you weighed your options. I had this really interesting image of a scale come up because I'm holding these 2 rocks in my left hand and this one in my right. And I'm sure you can tell which side is heavier. It's like, whoa, it's a lot heavier, right? And so I'd have to have probably 6 of these rocks to balance this rock. And so there's that sense of balance as well. And I wanted to come back one more thing about the balancing the divine feminine and masculine energies in yourself. And I can see that that has a big impact for Sandra. It's definitely had a huge impact for me. I lost my father very young, and I'm the middle of 3 daughters raised by a single mother. And I took the masculine role in my household as a child. I'm the big, strong one that carried the firewood and shoveled the manure and kind of pushed my way into life a lot. And I had to learn, and I'm also a very soft feminine person. Naturally, my nature is not to be super strong and pushy, but I had to learn later in life how to really honor my soft femininity because it didn't seem like it served me when I was young. And so the healing that happens when we learn, oh, my masculine wants to create a safe container, wants to bring something powerful into the world and do things. And my feminine wants to hold the space of that container and allow the magic to come in. And can my feminine receive from my masculine? Is my masculine willing to give me what I need so I'm not running around looking for it outside of myself? So that's just a little bit.
And I love this because I'm cluing into little bits and pieces that I now want to talk about. And there's a couple things. One is I definitely feel for you with regards to a couple things. First of all, I got to spend the entire day with my dad yesterday, so I can only imagine what not being able to do that must have been like, especially coming at it from the age that you came at it with. And there's a couple things around the energy of that I wanted to speak about, and we're going to do a little like a minute-long process here right away. One is that I noticed yesterday in my literally, gosh, I think it was 10 hours. Yeah, 10 hours of being in my dad's presence for that solid 10 hours, short of going to the bathroom, either of us. We were together for 10 hours. And when I got home, I was just in awe of how the day went, that it felt like it had reached a whole new level of love and respect for one another. In fact, even how he responded when I drove the car, when he was going around to get back in the driver's side after dropping me off at my house, he was like, "Oh, thank you, Sandy," and this and that, and he was just very talkative, very loving, and so powerful. Like I was in awe of his response to the day together. And the reason for that, I honestly believe, is because I personally have, and I mentioned this before, for the last 5 years, 5 years, I have been working with loving myself. This is why I say the I am love mantra. It's only in the last month that I discovered I wasn't loving myself unconditionally. And that's what Keira was just speaking about, was that loving oneself unconditionally. Last year, in the weeks before the same event that we've got coming up right away, the Empowering Extravaganza with the Little You and the Higher Self, in the weeks preceding last year's event, this mantra came through. So I want you to, first of all, before we do the mantra, I want you to do something else first. First of all, I would love for you to feel the difference between Keira's and my energy. So I want you to guys to, first of all, look at where we're both sitting on your screens, close your eyes then, and then feel with your hands by moving your hands from one side of the screen to the other side of the screen. And I just want you to take a moment to feel the difference in our energies. Okay. And I'm just going to give you a second and we'll close our eyes and we'll do the same thing, Keira. So remember to take a breath. Focusing in on that heart space. And now feel into the energy differences between Keira and myself. That was very interesting. How did that feel for you, Keira? And just before you say that, I wanted to say, well, I'm going to let you speak. I'm going to give you the floor.
That was very interesting. I've never tried to, I mean, first of all, I've never tried to feel my own energy as it might be transmitting through the ethers across the video coming back at me. That was very interesting just in and of itself. And what I experienced in that felt different is, to me, it's your energy felt like bubbling up, like a fountain going up and showering down. And my energy felt to me like it was just going out, 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 like in this like big. At first I was just like, whoa, I'm like blasting energy. Really? I didn't know I was doing that in that particular, I didn't know that it felt like that because I haven't tried to feel my energy from the outside before. It was very interesting. And then it reminded me of a meditation I did not too long ago where I felt called to make the heart shape with my hands on my heart. And I had really been focusing, I was receiving a message about boundaries. And this is one of the things I teach, that when we create boundaries for our energy, it becomes a stronger channel. And I was like, oh, I think I did that.
I love that there's such a, you notice a difference almost like visually, right? And for me, it was more of this energy, like, it was really interesting because I could feel how dense mine was, but it wasn't dense with a darkness. It was just so beautifully solid and very assured of itself, I guess. And yours came through. It almost felt like my first thought was, uh, 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 what was the word I'm looking for? It almost felt like it was higher vibrational, but it wasn't higher vibrational. It was lighter. Like it just came across as a totally different type of one. And I love what Mary wrote, because she wrote, right, Sandra's more masculine, Keira's was lighter, deeper and lighter, more feminine. And that is so accurate, because you know what? I was the boy I always believed my dad wanted. So it makes entire sense. And I love that was the other part of that conversation that I wanted to hone in on is I grew up too, really, really stepping into the energy of, being the tomboy, being the one out. And that's why I love shoveling snow, I think, is because it's get out there and do something that's very proactive. Karen said the same thing, right? That the Keira felt much lighter as well. Yeah, so there's really an interesting aspect there. I would like to do one more thing with each of the group now too, and then I'm going to give the floor over a little bit more to Keira to carry on the conversation with as well. Something else that came through before this first time I ran this in February 2021 was this new mantra. And I did it this morning on the Sandra, and I'd like to breathe our way through it now with you too. So I'm actually going to breathe our way through this at least 3 times. So take a moment now to close your eyes. Take a breath. I am the value my soul sees me as being. I am the value my soul sees me as being. I am the value my soul sees me as being. Now say your name to yourself with a breath behind each one. And so it is. So I'm just going to ask each of you to write down what you felt, what you experienced as you were breathing your way through the I am the value my soul sees me as being. And also when you connected the power of your name into that. Keira, how did that go for yourself?
Oh, it felt really, really good, like a recognition, and yeah, it was a very good mantra. I think what was the most impactful for me was when you said to say your name to yourself. Um, my soul really wants to claim the name Bear, which Bear is one of my names that my mother calls me Bear more than she calls me Keira. She nicknamed me Bear when I was a baby. I was named Keira Lani first, and then she called me Little Bear because I guess I made little bear noises. And she always called me Little Bear until I was 12. And then she looked at me because she's about this much shorter than me. So when I was 12, I got taller than her. And she looked at me and she said, I can't call you Little Bear anymore. So I'll just call you Bear. And she still calls me Bear, so much so that people have thought that was my name. That a lot of people call me Bear now who are more connected to my mom than they are to me. And so that was very, very interesting to me that it was coming through so strongly that I almost thought I'm supposed to change from tree gong healer to bear medicine. I don't know if that's actually coming, but that was very interesting. That that short mantra, and I don't know if it's because I've been doing a lot of soul communication work, both with myself and my clients of late. But my soul was like right there, right present, and loving that mantra. So thank you.
I wanted to say something really important about what you said there with regards to your name. And I just wanted to highlight too what Karen just wrote too. I felt calmness even more so in my heart when I put my name to it as well. I noticed a question in another group where somebody was asking about the power of the name. And I love also too how now you have some questions coming up about your identity with regards to who you're showing yourself to the world as. And my answer to this person who was asking about their name and the power of a name, and you know, the name to this person, I believe what they were thinking is that name is just this energy of who I am right now. When in reality, we have the energy of all the names that we've ever been and all the names we ever will be. And I believe that's where that spiritual warrior stuff, and I apologize for using the word stuff, the spiritual warrior aspect that you bring in is so important because it's recognizing that continual line of power. So even though I'm sitting here thinking of my name here in this present moment, the energy of all the names I've ever been are underlying in that name as I say that name. So very, very powerful. So speak a little bit about that spiritual warrior aspect to all of this too, if you don't mind too.
Absolutely. Yeah, I felt called to focus on this warrior. And I actually think I always have. And I didn't really let myself really acknowledge this before. And I do think that's why my soul is inviting me to own my bear name, because bear is a quiet warrior, right? She will stand her ground. She will protect her cub from a much larger bear, and successfully. And but she's not going out trying to start something with anyone, right? And to me, what it means to cultivate your spiritual warrior, which is the work that I'm doing right now, cultivating the spiritual warrior, to me means that you are cultivating your vessel, your body, mind, spirit vessel, to bring through the work that your soul came here to do on this planet at this time. And that can look different for everyone. We can have warriors that are feeling called to speak to large groups of people and speak about some difficult topics and change the dynamic of the political scene. We can have warriors who are here to hold space for trauma healing. That's one of the warriorship positions that I take, is holding space for you to claim your gifts, to be in love with yourself, in love with your life, in love with the beauty of creation. These are all ways that we can claim our spiritual warriorship, by really learning to stand in our power, hold our center, and stay in integrity. To me, that's one of the biggest pieces of choosing to be a warrior, is choosing to stay in your integrity, even when it's difficult, even when it might be easier to not tell someone what you're really thinking, even when it might be enticing to take money for something that doesn't feel right for you, that you tell someone like, oh, I want to check in with you because I want to make sure that this feels good to everyone. That is being a warrior, to be willing to go into those difficult conversations and speak your truth. And so, the way for me, the way to be a spiritual warrior is to dedicate yourself to optimizing the body, mind, spirit vessel, connecting daily, hourly, minutely with divine source intelligence, God, goddess, however you like to communicate with this higher power, and really dedicating to bringing that divine soul essence through your physical work here on the planet.
So what Mary was just saying here about not, she felt like she wasn't seeing the value that her soul sees me as being. I also highlighted Sue's comment here because I thought it was really important while you were speaking. There's much that the soul knows, and it's bringing enlightenment to the physical being and body, saying my name, and it is to own it. So all these things that Keira has just spoken about are the ways to bring that enlightenment to the physical being and the body. It's the way to start to see the value your soul as being. Okay. Did you want to maybe address this a little bit more? Also, too, someone wrote, Kelly wrote, at one time I hated my name, and yet Kelly means warrior. So what do you have to, what advice, or how could you help people when they're going through situations like this? They dislike their name, or they are unsure what their soul wants them to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I actually had that with both my sisters, going through a period of disliking their name. I'm I'm very blessed to have always liked my name. And I think what's coming up for me is we often end up devaluing ourselves because of trying to live up to something that comes from the outside world. And we are pretty much always going to come up short when we try to live up to some goals that are societal or parental or come from a teacher. And so I really encourage more time with listening to your soul in terms of learning to value yourself the way that your soul does, because your soul knows what she came here to do. And it may not look anything like all those goals that came from somebody seeing, oh, you're good at this, you should have this be your career. Or maybe, oh, this would just be a good career, so you should do it. And then you're not any good at it at all. And then you really struggle. Um, I know for me, I mentioned integrity is such an important piece for me. And I know this is, for me, was the place that I had to go in learning to love myself, is to go back to all the times that I perceived I did something wrong, especially the times that I hurt somebody or hurt myself or did something that I ended up getting hurt by someone else or hurt myself. And to really acknowledge at that moment when I did that thing that I didn't like and I wish I'd never done, I really was doing the best I could with what I had. And I actually, when I was, I think this was the year I turned 40, that I had this time of living by myself on a mountainside for about 6 months. And I just, through journaling and meditation and sometimes going outside, like I said, I was on the side of a mountain, so I could do this. Sometimes going outside and screaming until it turned into chanting. I was able to really process through some of these things that I was carrying around. For me, what made it hardest to value myself was that I was trying to value myself based on my accomplishments. And I had plenty of accomplishments that I could focus on at that time of my life. I had already become a massage therapist and a yoga teacher. I had 4 children that I had been raising, and I had done a lot of things right. And when I was trying to feel good about myself by focusing on all the things that I did right, all those things I did wrong in my mind were just weighing me down, and I was struggling against them, like trying to push the rock up the hill. And when I actually was able to sit with and acknowledge and learn to be okay with the things that I wasn't happy that had happened, that I wished I hadn't done, and really just love myself through it rather than saying, oh, well, I love myself, so I just have to let go of this, or I just have to move on from it. When we try to push the things away, they just keep following. So sometimes we have to actually sit with, well, what is the thing that's making me feel less than? And what happens if I just allow myself to feel that and be with it and acknowledge, oh, that is not me. That thing, that mistake I made, that is not me. And if I really sit with that memory, that painful memory, I can recognize, oh, I actually really was doing the best I could with what I had at that time when I made that mistake. And then I can just love myself and hold that younger version of me that didn't know what else to do. Even if she knew that wasn't a good decision, she didn't know what else to do when she made that mistake. And it doesn't matter if now I know what she could have done. All I can do now is love her through it and learn from it and choose each and every day what I'm going to do moving forward.
I love that. If I scroll all the way back up, Sue said something about owning it. And here Kelly is writing about that she was actually named in spite. And then someone said that, oh, your mother named you the most beautiful name she knew. And I mean, really tap into the energy of that and own it. And for those of you who struggle with any parts of yourself, seriously, whatever anybody else says is immaterial, because literally we are being asked even more so now to step into the energy of who we are personally. So own those parts of ourselves. Keira started the conversation off with talking about loving oneself unconditionally. This year, I've really stepped into the energy of that. And in just the short weeks that I have already noticed changes in my dad's energy. We're creating this beautiful ripple effect. Robbins puts it very nicely. We can't love others well if we don't love ourselves first unconditionally. I'm not even sure that I agree wholeheartedly with the unconditionally part of that, because I honestly feel, and I love that you put this out there, Robin, and you had the confidence to do this, and this is by no means of putting you down. I honestly feel that, you guys all know me. I've been loving myself for the last 5 years. I wasn't loving myself unconditionally. And yet, look at the love that you all felt for yourselves and for me as I loved myself, even though I didn't love myself unconditionally. So I just wanted to point that out, that might be a limiting belief that you have coming up. Okay, Robin, and I thank you for letting me walk my way through to that aspect of it. So I'm going to say that again. We can't love ourselves, or we can't love others well if we don't first love ourselves unconditionally. That might be a limiting belief. Love yourself. It doesn't matter what level of love you're loving yourself at. We're all working towards loving ourselves unconditionally. You guys, like I said, you've known me 5 years. I've been loving myself. It is only now that I am personally ready to step into loving myself unconditionally. So I love that I was able to do that at whatever level I was able to do that at. And Keira, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I would say there is a piece there that is really important to acknowledge. Often, and I was caught in this trap when I was young of putting all my love out to others. But what happened is, because I really didn't love myself. In fact, I dealt with a lot of self-loathing when I was young. I was loving others in hopes that they would love me back, in hopes that I could find some love out there by putting it out there. Somebody's going to love me, and then I'm going to feel loved. And so I think for me, it's more like, yeah, we can send all our love out and other people can still benefit from it. But my heart is not going to be able to receive the love from others until I really love myself. And I would agree with you, Sandra, that there are layers of it, and we start receiving the benefits before we're like, oh my gosh, this is what unconditional love actually feels like. Because I really thought I was loving unconditionally, and then suddenly I was like, whoa, when it actually, when my heart actually expanded enough to really unconditionally love. And for me, before I was able to unconditionally love myself, I actually did have to unconditionally love another. I had a very severe heartbreak when, the first man I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with left me very suddenly and unexpectedly. And um, and I was trying so hard to stop loving him because it hurt so bad. And then, as as I always do in times of struggle and challenge in my life, I called in a new practice because I'm very dedicated to my spiritual practice and my energy cultivation practice. And so I so I found a new teacher, a new Qigong teacher, and decided to do his trainings. And while I was preparing for the training, a meditation came through. This is Dr. Roger Yanka, who created this heart purifying meditation. And he said, place the worry or the person that's giving you trouble into your heart and ask the wisdom of the chi to take care of it. And this can be the divine intelligence is another term that I like to use for this, right? And he in his book he says, oh well, maybe it will dissipate, maybe it will dissolve into the earth, maybe it will dissipate into the heavens. And so I did this meditation and I put my lover who had left me into my heart, but mostly the heartbreak itself, the pain that I was experiencing, and asked the wisdom of the chi, the divine intelligence, to take care of it. And instead of it melting into the earth or dissolving into the heavens, what it did was it expanded my heart to where it felt like it was all the way to the outermost edges of my energy field in all directions. And I had a realization, you don't have to give up the love. The love is real. The love is divine. And that was when I was able to unconditionally love him in spite of having been hurt by him, and just really fully, wholeheartedly desire that he get what he needed out of his decisions and heal. And then I was able to also unconditionally love myself and allow myself to heal and allow myself to love truly, because trying to push love out is really, really painful. And it has been painful to hold the love at times, but in that beautiful, poignant way where I know I'm doing what my soul came here to do.
Kitty mentions this too. So yes, today is the day to run with your shadow, and that's what Kira's talking about. We call it shadow aspects, or those pieces of ourselves. And sometimes they're not, we may not recognize that they're pieces of ourselves. We think they're about somebody else, right? So just like you were speaking about this gentleman, and then really recognizing the energy of how your heart shifted when you changed how you felt about it, how you thought about it. So this is a beautiful conversation that we're having. And Sue mentioned that this is the best lesson is to teach us unconditional love relationships with animals. How true. I mean, look at Bear, right? And I mentioned in the feed too that my kids' names are Bear and Tiger. I think that was the names I called them before they actually got to hear their real names too as well. So and I still call my daughter Bear and I call my son Tiger. In fact, there are times even in front of his friends where I'll call him Tiger Lily, and he actually absolutely loves that because he recognizes the symbolism of that beautiful flower, right? Oh, I mean, this conversation is so deep. And if you're reading the feed, the comments in here about this one person and their name and that, it's just really powerful when we start to make positive choices. So I'm gonna let you keep going. You're just hitting home for me right now. Like you can
Mm-hmm.
see how Kira and I really work well together. And this is what we're going to bring to you. I'll just do the plug right now, real quick, before I give you back the floor. Is you can see how the two of us work really well together. And she's going to be one of the guest presenters at the Empowering Extravaganza, February 7th, 8th, and 9th, which is literally less than a week away. It's 5 days away. Very powerful, powerful experience. It's one of those life changing weekends or weekdays, whenever it is. It's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So thank you. And this has the ability to do all the things that Kira and I are speaking about here. So Kira, what are you bringing to us at that event? Have you had a chance to put together or think about what you're doing?
Yeah, well, what we'll be doing is like I said, what I've been really focusing on is the soul communication and really bringing through a deeper connection with your soul. It's so perfect that you did this little connection with the soul and how the soul is seeing your true value. The soul, and the soul chose this life, right? And so when we really learn to open that clear line of communication with our soul and follow that intuitive guidance that comes from there, then we fulfill the purpose that our soul came in for. And all of the outer goals, you know, we are able to clearly see which ones of these outer goals are supporting our soul's mission and which ones are actually getting in the way of our soul's mission, so that we can hone in. You know, there are so many things we can do with this precious brief lifespan that we get here on the planet. And so I'm going to be bringing some soul communication and some practices so that you can experience the way that I cultivate energy, that the way that I cultivate that connection to the soul and to our life path as a spiritual warrior here, bringing through the soul mission. So that it's going to be very fun. The way that I work is very intuitive. So I will have a plan, and it will be guided by spirit in terms of the practice that comes through for us that day. It will be very much guided by who shows up and what the energy is and what I'm sensing is needed with the particular group that shows up for the Empowering Extravaganza.
Yes. So if you feel drawn to the type of energy that you're working with today, the small things that we've done today, the awarenesses that have come in, the leveling up, if you will, the deciding to start to change your focus. If you have been drawn into any of this, both of us really highly recommend that you drop either of us a message, depending on if you're my group or her group or our groups, whatever the case is, and make a commitment to yourself. Decide that this is the year. Decide that this is the week that you're going to really step into what life can be possibly. And that's what I do. I step in every day. I step in every day. It's what I've been saying to you guys, whether I sing well or not, whether I have fun with it or not. I always have fun with it. But yeah, and I just wanted to throw up some banners so that Keira can kind of explain a little bit about where she's at. So I'm going to throw, first of all, her page, her business page. Tell us a little bit about what they can see or experience on your business page, Keira.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I come on and do live videos on Facebook and YouTube and bring through, again, these intuitive practices that come to me. Yesterday, I did a new moon ritual, so you can pop over and check that out. We're still in the new moon energy. It hasn't passed yet, so take the opportunity to really drop in with yourself today with your intentions. I noticed a lot of us here today are really focusing on self-love and relationship with self and others. And that's a huge part of my work. So if you go back through my archives, you are very likely to see some really good self-love practice videos. My website is actually practiceselflove.com. And so you can also go there and this is my group, the Unleash Your Inner Healer group. I think I'm actually going to change the name back to Unleash Your Inner Healer, which is what it was originally called. Right now it's called Tree Gong Healing Ministries, which is also a lovely place. And my intention with that group is really a safe space for healers. A place where we can come together and be vulnerable and heal so that we can bring healing to the world.
Beautiful. So you guys have all kinds of information here. I'm just going to throw up the bit.ly link. This is the link to discover more information about the Empowering Extravaganza that's coming up. As I mentioned, this is one of those things that's going to be happening every year. So you can tap into the energy of the changes, the power, and we come together as this beautiful collective group. So it's ever evolving and ever changing, and it's okay place for a beginner to be at. It's okay if you've been on the journey for a while, and it's okay if you feel like you are at this beautiful place of unconditional love, because wherever you are on your path, wherever the trajectory is pointing you, something is going to come up within yourself that wants to be revealed, whether it's to have healing facilitated, or whether it's so you can recognize how far you've come, or so that you can now deal with the next layer of it. It's really quite a magical event for all of that. Any last words that you'd like to share, Keira, before we...
Well, I just want to say to each and every one of you, whether you're here with us live or on the replay, you are so valued and needed for just what your soul is bringing through. And you really deserve all the love that your heart can possibly muster. It's been so good to spend time with you, and I look forward to seeing who will be joining us next week. Oh, and there'll be another one of these little videos over on my page on Friday if you want to drop in for the last one.
I am so glad you mentioned that. Yes, connect with us on Friday over on Keira's page, and I'll just show you that banner again so you can go and like her page so that you get the information when it pops up. In the meantime, love you guys. Have us, as Kelly says, she's all about sparkly, sparky. So have a sparkly day. Have a good day, everybody. Bye.
Bye.